As far as practice goes and the tires, what did you guys see out there?
I saw what every other Bristol race has ever looked like since I started racing stock cars. Obviously, spring race definitely spooked a lot of people, including us, and quite a bit different, but different being normal.
So did they not bring the same tires back that they had in the spring then?
You're asking the wrong person that question.
I believe everything was supposed to be the same as
Correct.
the spring.
Correct.
You don't sound too happy about that. Were you looking for more fall off in this, or?
Well, I wouldn't say I'd be overly happy right now. I'm qualified 28th, so
yeah,
it's not fantastic. So it's just something you have to deal with. Everyone's in the same boat, so that's how it is.
Austin, you guys have not had many top tens this season. It's been a rough season, but you put together back-to-back top tens in the playoffs so far. What do you feel like you guys as a group, or what you're doing a better job of these last two races than the first 20-some?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's been a bad season by any means, but I would say that the last 2 weeks, certainly from a speed standpoint, execution standpoint, have all been very, very solid and solid enough to merit some good finishes. And that's something that I feel like, one piece of that puzzle has escaped us from week to week for a larger portion of the year, larger than I would rather see it. Like the whole month of August, I feel like one big blow up, whether it's on pit road or something I did, or something with the car, that's what keeps you from being able to excel. But I think the combination of speed and execution is what's gotten us some really good results to start the playoffs.
You had talked last week, you really hoped you had ADV next to your name going into this weekend because of what can happen. I know you're not thrilled right now with the starting position. How much does the point situation, does that curb any of it, or is it, hey, you're in the moment, you're still frustrated with where you're going to be starting?
Yeah, I'm definitely not happy with the qualifying spot, but we're certainly in a pretty reasonable spot on points to just go through our day and have a solid run. The difficulty with this racetrack is that it's really hard to avoid wrecks, and I think it's going to be a pretty racy track from what we saw in practice, and definitely going to be hunting to stay on the lead lap pretty early on with the starting position.
Do you feel that this first round of the playoffs is the hardest to get through, especially with the last three tracks now at Bristol being just kind of a toss-up? You don't know what's going to happen. It's tough. Do you feel like if you get through this, it's not necessarily smooth sailing, but a clear picture for you guys?
Yes and no. I mean, I think in order to think of yourself as a champion in the NASCAR Cup Series, you have to be good on all types of racetracks. And I think the only thing that's made this week and last week the biggest wild cards is the difference or lack thereof in tires, or the unknowns coming in with tires. Whether if it's last week with the tire change, not knowing how much fall off there's going to be, and how to bring the race car, and this weekend, not knowing how much fall offs are going to be, and how do you bring your race car, and those are all decisions you got to make on Wednesday before I ever touch the racetrack. So I would say that's what's made, in my mind, this round, probably the biggest unknown. Whereas going into maybe a round that has probably a similar layout of tracks with Talladega, with the Roval, and with Kansas, makes it a little bit more predictable for the teams to go out and execute.
Is there a round in the playoffs that you look forward to the most with a group of tracks that fit your style?
None that I've picked out, but I think these first two, very versatile, and you have to be adaptable, and so far that's suited us for sure.
Going off that question, with Kansas being in the next round, does that put at any ease that it's going to be a quote-unquote normal racetrack to at least kick that round off? You don't have to really worry about that, immediately, where you still have the Roval and Talladega, but at least Kansas is somewhat a normality. Yeah,
I think you look at the racetracks that pretty much lead up to Phoenix. There's only real two normal racetracks that we have, and that's Vegas and Kansas. Everything else you could definitely classify as a sort of a specialty racetrack. So, is normal also in the minority of racetracks? Because otherwise, it's difficult to think that each racetrack isn't just as difficult as the next. So it'll still be a challenge, but I would agree that Kansas definitely stands out as one that is the least chaotic.
And go ahead.
Austin, how does your routine change in the off season as far as gym time, nutrition, just what you're doing during the winter versus what you'd be doing during the season? Does anything change at all, or how much downtime do you give yourself?
I don't really ever turn it off, if that's what you're asking. But as far as like in the gym, my trainer doesn't have to worry about keeping me happy and not stiff and not sore going into the weekends. Whereas like I'd say probably maybe I have 1 or 2 strength days during the week instead of like 4. So otherwise, the things you prioritize, the things you go over, the things that are going to make Austin Cindric a better race car driver and the 2 team better, you can probably dive into some smaller projects that probably didn't take priority during the season.
What would those smaller projects be? Because like Bell says, like for him, there's no sim time obviously during he doesn't do sim time during the winter.
Ooh, I got 8-hour shifts like once a week. Oh yeah, it's tough. It's not my favorite, to be honest.
So you have sim time, and then what are the other like the smaller projects?
Just meetings and reviews and like I said, trying to get better things. You can maybe microanalyze or compartmentalize different things that make the team better or worse. And it's I guess it's all how much you want to put into it and how much relaxation matters for performance versus studying performance affects performance. So I'm not saying I won't have any relaxation time during the off season, but I usually like to keep myself pretty busy.
With your teammates winning the last 2 championships and this playoff schedule being kind of chaotic in the first couple of rounds, do you feel like more like this year and going forward is more about the regular season champion is more of the consistency of the season champion, and the playoff champion is more of a survival type championship, given how chaotic this is? Like you said, you qualified 28th and with 1 race to go and everything. So do you feel like this is more of a test of who can survive versus who the overall, I guess, quote unquote, better driver for the season is for the playoffs?
That's a very large question. If you're defining, what makes a champion. I mean, we have a format. We stick to the format. So, I don't think one's better than the other. I mean, I would say this compares to sports, right? I mean, you look at the NFL schedule. I mean, the team, the Ravens, had an incredible regular season in the NFL, and they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, so therefore they can't be the Super Bowl champions. It's no doubt. I feel like most sports are honestly this way compared to kind of just a 38 season schedule. I feel like this gives our race fans a lot to look forward to in the back half. So I don't really have any complaints, but I've been on both sides as far as having more points than everybody else and not being the champion, and I've been able to make it to the championship 4 and into the play. Both sides to it, but we all in format.
You led the.
No, I mean
You're here first.
I'm all right.
Oh, yeah. Bob, I think she just came after you with that.
I didn't hear what you said.
Is there a
I just
rivalry
said-
in the media center, Bob?
No, I just.
Are you
said
two
I'm
going
all
to
right.
talk about this after the day?
No, why would I talk?
You don't have anything to say about it?
No, I don't.
How do you think your 2 media groups work together going forward after this altercation?
We
How do you
don't
think
work
your
together.
shot
We
is?
just go.
How are your chances to survive tomorrow in advance?
I mean, probably as good as anybody else. It's a good track for us. Didn't show as much pace as we wanted in qualifying, but we had some race runs I thought were really good, some race runs I thought were really bad, and hopefully we'll favor the ones that are really good, and then we'll be all right.
As a team owner last week, how bittersweet was seeing Chris win, knowing that didn't advance him, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, certainly bittersweet. But I'm just really happy for Chris. They deserve to get a few wins earlier in the year, and some different things happened. Some in their control, some out of their control. But, he's a great road course racer, and he was due for that win, not just this year, but on the road courses as a whole. And he certainly went out and earned it in every way you can earn it.
Did you see any fall off in tires, or was it more like a year ago than the spring?
Yeah, I don't know what in the world's going on. We went from not thinking we could make 40 laps to thinking we can run 1,000 laps on tires, and I don't think everybody knows what's going on there. If you do, let me know, Bob. Send me a text.
Yeah, do you know what's going to happen tomorrow then with those
No,
tires?
I have no idea. We'll see if Jekyll or Hyde shows up.
Is that good when you're trying to, I mean, considering your position, would you take Jekyll and Hyde versus total known?
I mean, our car was set up for super high tire wear, and that's not what showed up today. So, I would certainly take if it went back to that.
Do you think the veteran has an advantage then? Because if tire wear does come into play, you guys probably have the most experience.
Yeah, I think I'm set up for it. Our car's set up for it, but we don't know what's going to happen.
How much do you anticipate the track changing between now and tomorrow night?
I mean, it's so hard to predict. We're all over the place. We came and tested here in March. Saw super high tire wear. Didn't believe it. went and ran the race and wore the tires right out. Then we came back here in August with the 17 car. Tires couldn't go 20 laps again. Thought, that's what we're going to have when we come back, and now we're showing no tire wear. So we have no idea what to expect.
Last week, did you realize how close Byron's car got to your driver's side door?
When I got out, yeah, not when I was in the car. But, yeah, it was thoroughly in the roll cage.
And so it was, but you didn't. So you couldn't tell that when you just thought you were hooked together a little bit.
No, I have a really good seat in my race car, and it shields me from any of that happening. So, even if it would have penetrated the roll cage, it was going to have to penetrate the seat, and it damaged the roll cage, but didn't penetrate it, and we still had another, redundant safety layer left. So, but still, not ideal.
Did you, like he said that he just put in reverse, was able to back off of you? Like, could you? He didn't even know he was on top. He thought he was stuck against the wall.
Yeah.
Could you tell what he was trying to do? Like, were you worried about?
I think we were both in reverse at the same time, and I don't know if he drove off of me or I drove out from under him, but it worked, and we went on our way.
You see the tires are showing pretty cool. Is there could you foresee tomorrow being a flip-flop where there's high wear?
I mean, right now I wouldn't be shocked by anything. But, generally in a race weekend, it doesn't flip. Whatever's going on, we ran as a sport all kinds of DOE, design of experiments, to try to find what the variable is, and we don't know as a sport what it is, but clearly there's some variable here we don't understand.
Could running in the night instead of the day, like practice today, could that have any significant impact on tires tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we don't know what the variable is, so until we can identify what it is, we're all guessing the same guess you guys are guessing. You know as well as I do right now.
Let's just
What do you think it is?
What?
What do you think it is?
I don't know.
There you go. Yeah. Let me know if you figure it out. You and Bob can send me a text together.
Do you prefer it that way?
Not knowing? I guess a no. There's something to be said for it as a sport when there's unknowns, but generally not when there's unknowns during the race weekend. Maybe coming into the race weekend, but
if you get knocked out on Saturday, what does your strategy become for the final 7 races?
No different than what it is now. Score a lot of points, win races. It's we'll have a shot to do that as it goes on. So nothing really changes for me.
To that point, Brad, what will mark this season a success for you guys if you don't advance to the next round?
More wins. Just want to win more. Want to be more competitive. Want to qualify better and stay in the victory lane more.
You guys have the alliance with Rick Ware. Did you aware that they were going to make the switch starting next week, and something that you even have I don't know that you would have a voice in, but do you have any?
Justin had a career opportunity that there wasn't anything we could match. To be a part of Rick Hendrick's deal there, and and what that means for him after 25. That's their announcement to have, but certainly everybody I think can respect and understand that.
Now that both of the RFK cars have won races this season, is RFK where you envisioned it 3 years ago when you became car owner?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, we want to win championships. We want to win, we've won 2 races this season. We won 3 races last year. My goal coming in the season was, to win 5 races as a company, and we're not there, so we got to keep improving.
I know you're focused on your team and what you guys are doing, but I'm just curious from your perspective, Spire Motorsports. 6 years ago when they first said they were buying a charter, I think some people thought it was a joke, and look at where they've come. They still got a long way to go. There's no doubt. They got 3 cars top 10 last week. Can you give me a sense, a perspective of what they have been able to do? Even with still a long road to go to catch a team like yours.
Yeah, I don't think they got a long road to go to catch anybody. Jeff Dickerson and TJ over there, they're just great opportunists. They find opportunity, they figure out how to make the most of it. They love the sport. They're building something. It's not a 1-year build. and they're competing against some juggernauts and starting to, leave a mark. Obviously, they brought in an influx of capital and a partner that is top notch, and but they had to be in a position to do that, and they positioned themselves just for that opportunity. So credit to them. I don't know what their ceiling is. I have a feeling that it's higher than where they're at today, and they deserve respect for it.
So can somebody else, is there still the pathway to kind of do what they do? I know it's at a lower ceiling in terms of how their buy-in price essentially, but is there still that opportunity to do that and climb in, or is the sport changed so much in 6 years that TJ and Jeff, if they try doing it now, it'd be so much more difficult?
Yes and no. I think the answer is both. There's the Warren Buffett saying nobody wants to get rich slow, and it's kind of NASCAR. Nobody wants to run well slow. Like everybody wants to do it in their first year, and generally they make a lot of financial mistakes and don't kind of live within their means. So I think to some extent that's possible, that the barrier of entry with the charter continues to get higher, which kind of negates that point. And I suspect that'll continue to evolve.
How much does it help to have the Fenway group? I think we see in other sports different groups getting in and helping, buying minority partnerships and teams.
Well, Fenway Group got in before most of the other groups did, before there were charters and all these other things. So I think it means more now than it probably did whenever that was 17 years ago, 18 years ago when they got in, roughly. But having that backstop sure does clean up for some rainy days, Dustin.
How are you guys able to leverage that now these days, or how are they able to branch out and use that?
Well, they're always looking for opportunities. I look at our partner income is still 60-70% of what makes our business, and partners want to see stability, and that certainly offers it.
With Harrison announced to go to AM next year in Xfinity, kind of as part of Ford, how much have you been working with him 21, and have you spoke with him much since he won at Daytona?
Not particularly that much. The 21 car is heavily affiliated with Penske, and he's got everything he needs over there.
Thank you.
Another one, with the switch with LaJoy and Justin Haley, I understand that Rick Ware has an RK alliance and stuff, so what's your reaction to that with LaJoy coming over?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm happy for Justin that he got an opportunity to grow his career for the next few years. It certainly makes a lot of sense, and the last thing I would do is hold him back or be a part of holding him back in any way. And for Corey, I think we're just going to try to help him wherever we can and make sure he's in the best situation he can be in, and to recognize his potential.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos. And if you like us, make sure to hit that subscribe button.